Well, I say it every year and I'm going to say it again. My favorite type of gardening is in containers because I just love the creativity that can go into it and how you can play with it. You get a new chance every single year to do what you want with it. There's something about it that I just love. And while I love a good container recipe that features some of our favorite annuals, I also love changing it up a little bit and doing something that we've never seen before. And today I'm going to show you 3 containers that I guarantee are combinations you have never seen before and are kind of pushing the boundaries of what we think should go in containers because there are no rules. So let's get into them right now. So this container, which is right by the back steps, which is this teak trough, it has a plastic liner inside of it, has gone through some iterations, and originally I wanted this as kind of an ornamental edible container for like grabbing quick things out of, so we didn't have to walk over to the vegetable garden, but that has evolved over the years. This year though, I'm going strictly ornamental, and the feature plant of, or plants in this container are a trio of diamond spire gardenias. This is a plant that I think every northern gardener wants to grow a gardenia. Most of us have tried and failed absolutely spectacularly to keep them inside. I know I put it up there as one of the fastest plants I have ever killed in my house. So I'm going to try this. Now this variety, Hardy and Zone 7 to 10, is a sort of columnar upright type form. And the more southern gardeners that I follow, like Jim Putnam, have said that this thing can bloom almost continuously, which really sets it apart from other gardenias in addition to its form. But in addition to the beautiful flowers that I want right here by my back door that will provide amazing fragrance and are beautiful flowers in general, this has really beautiful foliage, and honestly, I'm not a student of gardenia, so I don't know if this is typical for all gardenias. I don't recall them being quite this pretty. Very dark, glossy, small, tight little foliage on this that I think actually, even if they are not blooming, and there's really only one flower right now, but a lot of buds on this, I think will absolutely be a beautiful foliage accent in a container as well. As I said, we've got a trio of these. I actually have 2 in already. And you can see they have, you know, there's a fair bit of root on these, but I just loosened that up a little bit. It's not over rooted, but I did loosen it up a little bit. Now I am planting in older potting mix for the most part. I did take out the top maybe 6 to 8 inches of it and put in new because it was kind of full of roots from previous years. Then I went in and I added some worm castings to this as well. I think that's just really good richness for soil. I always add in a slow release fertilizer in all my containers. So there is our beautiful back layer trio. So one of the things I am absolutely loving for containers this year is grassy texture. I did a little bit of playing with that. Well, I've done a little bit of that in the past, but this year I'm making a concerted effort to work a grassy texture into many of my containers. And for this one, I am using Carex Feather Falls. This is actually in the Southern Living Plant Collection. And when I got these plants, I was a bit shocked at the size of this because I have grown Carex Feather Falls in my garden for 2 years. I actually lost all of it this past winter. It all died. When it was first introduced, they listed as hardy to zone 6, and then they sort of amended that and said, we think maybe in a protected area, zone 5, but I lost every single one of them this year. But I will tell you, none of them ever grew to this size. Pretty amazing. So what I have done is actually taken one of these and divided it because Carex Feather Falls in my area can do full sun. It's definitely can go into shade, and the farther south you are, the more you're going to want to do that. But I have grown this in full hot sun right here, actually in the patio bed, and it does just fine. So this is why I'm picking this one. Okay, so this is a container in flux because I've been changing my mind on it as we roll here. I decided to mix the Carex in between the gardenias. My hope is these gardenias grow fairly quickly, so the height becomes a little bit more proportional, but I do love this texture in here. You know, if I really had to, and I thought this was too much, I could always thin the Carex out a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna add in something a little bit unexpected, as though we hadn't already done that. These are summer hyacinth bulbs. I've started these in pots earlier. They get these beautiful spires of kind of creamy white flowers that will play so well off the gardenia flowers, stand up taller than the gardenias, and just, they won't be there all year, but this is sort of, you know, they're going to bloom and then they're going to be done, and that'll be their thing. But I think these will be a nice little accent in there. So I've tucked that in between the gardenias. There's 2 more right here. So those should come up. They get fairly tall. They'll be up here flowering with these beautiful bell flowers. So we go from some really great looking plants to some really pathetic looking plants. But we really need some color happening in here. Now, listen, I have nothing against a white and green container, but the rest of what's happening on this patio is never so subdued. So we need to bring some color in this to have this make feel at all at place here on this patio. This is a Dahlia that was sent to me as a trial plant a long time ago. So they have been living in the basement, and they actually bloomed. They really had a rough time of it, I'll be honest. But they are coming back nicely now. They have bloomed once, and the flowers were so, well, I had a few flowers on them. And they were so pretty that I just thought they'd be perfect for in here because they're hot raspberry pink on the outside and they fade to white in the center. So we're picking up the white that we have in here. And this is a big ask for these dahlias because this is where some bolder texture is going to come into play in this container. The flowers are nice and bold. Leaves are generally bold on dahlias, or reed as such, I would say. And without that, we're really in a texture problem, I think. I think we're going to put a little bit of black Mondo grass in the front here. Now there's 2 more plants that we're going to add, 2 more types of plants that we're going to add. One is Stardiva pink Scaevola to bring some more pink into this. We're going to have the so that Dahlia dark raspberry on the outside kind of fades to white, so there is kind of a lighter pink there. And then also a plant that I just have to grow every single year, which is Kent Beauty oregano, just one of my all-time favorite plants. Such a beautiful, beautiful foliage, beautiful pink flowers on it. Can't lose with that one. I'm only going to do 2 Stardivas here because I think they'll have a fairly big impact here at the front. And we're going to tuck those here. Kent Beauty on the outside corner here. Now, I could have added something like a petunia in here for like a slightly bigger flower, but nothing in this container, with the possible exception of the Dahlia, has a lot of water or fertilizer needs. So adding in something like a petunia that we know just wants to be watered and fertilized like crazy would be a watering and care complication here. So I think we've got a good mix of plants in terms of care here. I do have drip irrigation to this pot, which I have not run around here yet, which is connected to the drip irrigation that goes behind this bed. I have it on an off-on switch, which will be very helpful. I will run that around here, but I won't turn that on here for quite some time. I probably won't turn that on until the end of summer, because I think this is a container that's going to be much easier to water by hand to make sure that we are not overwatering anything. Okay, now we are moving over to the trough planter here at the garage. This is, you know, shade until very late in the day, 4 o'clock or so, and then it gets full sun. So I generally plant this up as a part sun to shade. No, part sun planting is sort of how I think of this. So you can see that I have already put in a familiar friend. If you have seen this, this is the 3rd year here for Fats Hedera. I like to call it Fats Shadera because I think that's more fun to say, but Fats Hedera, Star. Star has overwintered successfully in my house for 2 years now. I cut it back really hard at the end of the year. I could have cut it back harder. So Fats Hedera is a hybrid between Fatsia and Hedera. And Hedera is English ivy. And it's not invasive at all, by the way. But as you might imagine, because it's English ivy, it does resprout quite well. So as you might imagine, if you cut it back, it's got no problem. And you can see, basically, this is all the new growth. last year's old growth that was on there when I brought it in kind of got brown and fell off. We're not going to need any of that because we're just going up here to fill in this area. Actually, it wouldn't have been bad if some of this, like here, but I actually could encourage that by cutting one of these back hard. Split the difference, we'll go to here. And this should start regrowing from there, which I think will fill in this middle part a little bit better. Beautiful little bit. So anyway, as you can see, I've already planted that in here. Now this container is going to be super full, and it's going to be a lot about texture. I love good texture in containers, so we're going to focus a lot on texture, but there's going to be a big splash of color, and I'm going back to salmon in this because my favorite year with this container was when I put salmon begonias in it. Why are salmon begonias so hard to find? I couldn't tell you, but they were. So we're going to fill in with some very cool stuff, and we're going to jam pack this thing. So I removed probably the top 8 to 10 inches of soil and put in some fresh stuff, put in some Osmocote and some worm castings to kind of refresh. And I dug those worm castings down deep, so as the roots go deeper, they're going to get a little bit more nutrition. But I have not done a full changeover of the soil in this container in, gosh, years now. So I told you we're going to be focusing on texture, and one of the best plants of any kind for texture, in my opinion, is Mahonia soft caress. Unfortunately, this is not hardy here for me. This is hardy down to zone 7 and 9. Such a good plant. This is sort of a shade to part shade plant, and I grew this last year in containers, and it was beautiful. I did try to overwinter it, and I was not successful with that. This pot conveniently has a nice lip on it, so I just try to tuck everything right up underneath that lip. I'm not opposed to asymmetric containers, but on this particular one, I feel like there's a formality with this little trellis here that we've got mounted here. I feel like this one sort of calls for symmetry over here. Already, I just love this. All right, check this baby out. This is an enormous begonia. This is Sterling Moon Lunar Lights, another one from Southern Living Plants collection. And when these plants arrived, I could not believe how amazing they were, because normally begonias do not ship well. This baby is amazing. So we get this beautiful foliage on top. Also, this is, I mean, they all flower, but this one, I mean, the flowers are not unattractive on here. Sometimes with these ones that you're thinking more about foliage, you kind of sacrifice a little bit in terms of the flower department. And you don't care because, again, you're thinking about them for foliage. Okay, front and center for this baby. But I have another thing that I want to go front and center in front of it, so we'll have to see if we can manipulate some root balls here. Holy smokes, look at that. I mean, I could stop there, and that would look like a fine planter. I'm obviously not stopping there. We haven't even gotten to the colorful stuff yet. Okay, one more thing. Just one more thing in the front. Everest Carex. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of that Evercolor Carex line. It really does not want to be in sun though. It'll get crispy on you, but look at that beautiful one. I mean, some of you are going to say there's way too much of this planter, and that's fine. I'm good with it. I just feel like this container always looks really good with some Dichondra Silver Falls because it kind of matches the color of the container. Also, we're going to pull out the silver from the begonia and the white from the Carex. All right, here's where we start bringing in our color. And this is Iconia Salmon. I like the Iconia series of begonias quite a bit. This guy should get like 16 inches tall, so, you know, he's going to fight it out and he's going to get up in there. We also have these drapey guys, which had no tags in them, so I couldn't tell you what they are. But I think we're going to do the drapey guys here and here on the corners so that we get some of that salmon coming down the sides. Okay, now we're bringing in a little yellow. This is Iconia Portofino Citrix. And that is gonna go right here. All right, I know this is not going to be to everyone's taste, but I think this could end up being really fabulous. So I know I told you that this video was going to be about putting sort of unpredictable plants in containers, but I'm about to show you a very predictable decision, at least for me, and that is that we are starting this container with a centerpiece of a red Abyssinian banana. This is Ensete Maurelli ventricosum. And this is a new one for me, and we'll talk about the past bananas in another video. But I just keep repeating this because nothing has ever come close to as good as this looks in this particular container. And partly that is because this will grow to 10 feet tall. By adding that kind of height, it really helps bridge the gap between the height of the front door here and the height here, and it just makes it all kind of flow a little bit better. So I've obviously already placed that in the pot here, right in the center. I do use a lot of Osmocote in this particular container because these bananas just love that. They seem to just really, really respond well to that. And a lot of water, they like that too. Now last year I did the same thing and there was a lot of different plants in here and I thought it got a little busy. So I'm trying to simplify it, but there's still a lot that's going to be happening in here. And I want you, when we're building this container, to remember that the scale of this is going to change dramatically throughout the summer. So the first thing I'm going to add is more shrubs. This is Sunshine Ligustrum. This is again from the Southern Living Plant Collection. So again, this is not hardy here, but we're going to put one of these on either side of this. Possibly a third one in the back, but that's unlikely. We'll see. So this outer pot, the teak part of this, is 3 feet in each direction, but there's a fiberglass liner inside of it that is quite nice to have. Obviously, you sort of want that if you're going to be dealing with wood to protect it. But it is a little smaller in each direction. Okay, we're dripping water because I actually just stuck this guy in a bucket for a second because I felt like it was a little dry and I wanted to rehydrate it a bit. Okay, we got one other really big root balled plant to get in here. All right, this sort of comical plant here is a Mangave called Bad Hair Day. Ugh. All right, ugh. Golly, look at the roots on this thing. I mean, geez, these Mangaves, I tell you, they are growers. I'm not sure I've even found soil yet. I think this thing is going to be so happy to get out of this pot. So with the other containers, I went very symmetrical, and in this one, I'm going asymmetrical because I don't want this. It's a little on the nose if I would have this bold texture and this bold texture lined up right in front. Okay, I'm making one more on the fly decision here. I'm actually going to move these both back a little to create a little bit more room because I do want some flowers in here too. There's not going to be any room for flowers between those two things. So I am going to kind of put this on the aft quarter of this, right back here. I'm going to slide this one back just a touch, probably not as much. Okay, now I want to add in a couple. I'm just going to kind of skip the middle part for right now. I'm going to skip to the front edge. And this is where I want to bring in some color. And I'm going to use, this is Coralina Superbells. Boy, I grew this one last year and I was so impressed with it. And this coral color is, you know, something I like quite a bit. But I really feel like we need like a lot of color. So I'm actually going to just pop two basically smack dab next to each other here so that we get like a big bold block of color there. I think hopefully those will fill in quite a bit right there. Then I do have another one I'm going to add around the corner here. So we bring that color over here. Hopefully that stands up enough to be seen over here. So now, of course, I'm feeling like we're quite out of balance here. So I don't need symmetrical, I just want balance. This is clearly a really heavy element. This is clearly a heavy element. This has some of the red in it, but a lot of the green that you're gonna find in these leaves. So I feel like we need two things. We need something to balance out this really heavy element, and we need something that's gonna pick up that color. And so in my mind, that's a sweet potato vine. I have two here that I was considering for this. The first one is this one. This is Sweet Caroline Medusa Black. I have grown the Medusa Green before. I really, really, really like this plant. This is a smaller mound of of a sweet potato vine rather than a huge long trailer. I feel like the texture here is too fine. The texture here is sort of in the similar realm as actually the texture of both the ligustrum and the foliage on the Coralina. So we need to go a little bolder. So this is another new one. This is Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Shadowstorm. And this one has these speckled leaves on it. Honestly, when I first saw this, I wasn't sure this was really my jam. I'm not sure how I feel about the variegation on there, but I feel like in this case, it's actually perfect. And this has obviously got a bolder texture on the foliage. And I'll get you some stats on this in a second. See what it says for stats here. It tells me absolutely nothing about how long this is going to trail, except that it says the height is 6 to 16, but we know that height isn't really what we care about here. So that's going to go right here in this corner. That will come this way, fill up this corner, provide balance for that. I have another one of these that might go around the corner, but we will decide that in the end. Now another foliage accent, and unfortunately these plants looked way better earlier today. I sort of did not harden them off very well, so they got a little sun scorched, but they are going to be quite nice. This is Indian Dunes Pelargonium, geranium. I haven't decided yet. This is the color of the flowers, which is like the neon orange crayon. If you ever got the neon crayon box, and that was the most disappointing box of crayons. Anyway, it's like that color. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Easy enough to clip them off. We're going to leave it there for now because heck, it's the only color in this container right now. I have two of these, and these should get pretty big, and I'm going to put them right next to each other to make a bigger plant. I actually bought this one out in Seattle when I was out at the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, and brought them home in my suitcase. They were much smaller than they've been growing inside since February. And again, hang on, we're gonna do a little. So for right now, these are gonna read as two plants, but I really want these to, basically become one large mass of foliage right here. All right, we still haven't really gotten to the middle yet, although this Pelargonium sort of counts as the middle. I am actually kind of picking off these sort of sun-scorched leaves because bad me. Okay, I have two other trailers. So this plant is kind of a funny story. I think this might be like a lime scented or something, some sort of citrus scented geranium, Pelargonium. One of the garden centers I make a trip to once a year has this kind of really interesting eclectic collection of plants. They've got all the usual stuff, but then they have and they make amazing containers for people. I really like going there just to look at the containers that they have made for clients to see what they're doing. But because of that, they have all these weird little plants everywhere, and half the time they don't have names in them. And I picked up two of these. Now, I don't know if this is trailing because that's the habit of this plant, or this is trailing because it was jammed in a corner with a bunch of other plants and was not getting enough room, so it just got kind of leggy. But I love the look of it. So I do want to work these in here. And actually, here we go. I mean, this might be kind of cool. Let's see. If we stuck this under here to kind of hide and come out from under there, see, that I think is cool. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide one right underneath that Mangave, maybe stick another one over here. Lift up the Mangave's skirts a little bit and make a little pocket of room in there for this guy. It's a good thing I'm going simple this year, right? Let's use our imaginations a little bit on what this is going to look like. All right, let's get some proper color in this container. And that is going to come from one of my favorite plants, dahlias. I have two dahlias, two types of dahlias that I intend to put in here. One is this Virtuoso Rad Raz from Proven Winners. This is short, 15 to 18 inches, which is a very manageable container size planting. I also have another one called Melody Dora, which I've grown in this container before, actually, that I have started. This is only in a Proven Winners pot because that's what I started it in. And this gets like 2 feet. So this is what I'm hoping will sort of grow through the Sunshine Ligustrum and break that up a little bit. I'm going to keep these shorter guys towards the front. Stick one of them right here. I have learned my lesson to not get too close to the base of the banana because it does get quite a bit larger throughout the season, and it can kind of eat up plants. Now we're going to put the Melody Doras in, and for the Melody Doras I think I am going to do 3, but they're going to go kind of in the back and grow up through it. I actually still have my ties on there. I should gotta get those off because the hot pink is a bad look. So I'm going to say of these 3 planters, this is probably the one that requires the most squinting to imagine what it's going to look like. And I would suggest that you subscribe and stay tuned to see how this thing grows in, because this could be magnificent or this could be a real mess. We'll see which way it goes. But I hope if there's one thing you took away from this video, it's that we should stop assigning roles to plants and deciding and letting that decide whether we use them in a container or not. Because I think I've shown that if your container is big enough anyway, you can absolutely use any kind of plant you want in a container. The only things you have to remember is everything has to like more or less the same conditions. You can fudge that a little bit on the watering, but you can't fudge it on the sun exposure. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll subscribe and hang out to see where this all goes and where all the rest of them go. And I hope you have a great day in your garden. Thanks, everyone.